Are you listening? Damn.
Welcome to another edition of the AFC North Talk, and we are in. And one of the things that most anticipated by our AFC North listeners, these shows, these next couple of weeks of shows, kind of define
couple months, baby. I mean, this is gonna be strap in, boys.
It will define the season. Y'all will not let go any of these rankings. It's like the gospel at this point.
Right.
So it's gonna be fun. Enjoy the ride. Love it. I'm waiting for all these comments. I'm all in. And prepare for having your feelings hurt or be excited. Anyway,
it really sets the tone for who's going to have the biggest chip on their shoulder going into the season, right? And then, today's video, depending on how the season plays out, you may end up in a video mid-season based on your comments today. So just remember that. Just remember that.
I tried to stop you from being in that video once, and you just kept going.
Hey, like I said, long term, I was right. Hashtag Tony was right.
By the way, let me just put this parenthesis here. I never root for the Steelers unless I conveniently need the Steelers to win.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But oh my God, if the Steelers win week 1, I cannot imagine Tony in this show. Like Tony in this show will be insanity.
Heel Tony. Heel Tony ended in week 18 and then came right back in week 1.
Yeah.
Look, it's
pre-bye week. Tony is going to be great. Post-bye week, Tony, he's going to be a little bit more reserved.
We'll see. Listen, if I get some fun next season, I'll be a happy man. Obviously, this is supposed to be.
Did you get a new camera?
Yes, sir.
It looks amazing.
You're popping. I was like, oh man, look at this man popping, background all blurry. Okay, up in the production values out there at Winston.
Yes, sir. Hey, inspired by you, my guy. Ever since you got that camera, I was like, man, my camera is trash. I got to upgrade.
We have a poll running out right now for you to vote best QB. And for the Steelers, I didn't know what to put, Tony. I put Pickett. But I'm assuming that's the quota.
Pickett, Trubisky, just whoever, Mason, Rudolph, could be anybody. Could be Chris
Oladokun. Steelers QB. I should have put your Steelers QB.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we get started, how many Kenny Pickett?
Well, that's how you know who's not winning the poll, right? When you have to...
That's right. Yeah, that is true. I was telling this to Ace before the show. I was like, look, I know you guys are all going to fight over 3, 2, and 1. For me, I mean, these rankings were very, very easy. Obviously, we're all going to put the Steelers at 4. Spoilers, myself included. And then 3, 2, 1 to me actually weren't that difficult, but I know between the three of you, it's going to be very contentious. So I'm looking forward to it. A QB show that I really don't have a dog in the fight. I'm excited.
So over under, look, how many Kenny Pickett punts are set this season?
Oh my God.
We're going to have per game.
Ooh. Per game's a lot. There's gonna be a lot of Well, I guess it depends on if he starts. There's the outside chance that there will be some Trubisky jokes to start the season, but we'll see.
That being said, you know what, Tony? Since you already alluded to your pick, I'm gonna go ahead and say, who's your number 4th ranked QB?
The number 4 QB room in the AFC North is, of course, my Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously Ben Roethlisberger retires. And even, look, to be quite honest, they were the 4th best room last year. And then Ben retired. So, this is look, the rest of the AFC North, obviously this is a room in the division where, you got 3 top 10 guys in the NFL in this division. So the Steelers are clearly 4, but they would be 4 in a lot of divisions because they have, a rookie quarterback in Kenny Pickett, who I'm not a huge fan of, although I will give credit to Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert. They went and got their guy. And I'm, in some way I am excited about that because
wait. They got their guy or their guy came to them? I didn't see.
They got their guy. Yeah, they got the guy.
They got the first quarterback off the board.
Yeah,
right. They got the guy
that they wanted at quarterback,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
They did not compromise.
Correct.
So they cannot, if this does not work out and somebody else does, the Pittsburgh Steelers have no room to run from that. But if it's right, they're right. You know what I mean? But they had clean pickings right there.
Exactly. Yeah, they got the guy they wanted, and so you have to be encouraged by that. I mean, I think as a Steeler fan, Mike Tomlin, Kevin Colbert, this is not a group that's known for putting together bad rosters or bad position groups over the last 15 years. So I mean, I'm excited to see what if they got this right, because boy, if they did, and you go right from Ben Roethlisberger to another franchise type quarterback, that would be that's very rare in the NFL. But obviously for me, the Steelers are 4. I mean, they just, they're either going to start a rookie, or I don't know if I'd call Mitch Trubisky a journeyman at this point. I mean, it is 3 teams in 2 years or in 3 years, but the Bills was like a pit stop for him last year. But regardless, they're either getting kind of a second run quarterback in Mitch Trubisky and a rookie. So Steelers 4, easy.
Okay. Ace.
Yeah, for me, I think the Steelers are number 4 just because we have to see what Kenny Pickett is. Obviously, with him being a rookie, I think he will be a solid player. I think that he gets a lot of bad stuff thrown on him. But as I said, I think that the tier is Andy Dalton, who was a solid quarterback. But he's not going to be this guy that is like a Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. I think the hope is that you hope that he could be Mac Jones. If he could be Mac Jones for the Steelers, I think that that's pretty damn solid for them. So I think that that's what they're aiming for. But with a rookie quarterback, you just have to wait and see how it goes, especially in this division. Now, if we were in the AFC South, yeah, sure, there would be an argument that you could make that Kenny Pickett could be in the 3rd place or something like that. But this is the AFC North. You got Lamar Jackson, you got Deshaun Watson, and you got Joe Burrow. So I don't see him being moved past any of those guys. But yeah, if he was in the division with the Houston Texans, yeah, you could probably say that he would be the 3rd best quarterback in that division. But we play in the AFC North.
Okay, Hugh.
And this is a serious question. It's the team that is having a quarterback competition between Mitchell Trubisky and Kenny Pickett. You know what I mean? I'm not a big fan of either of those 2 quarterbacks. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, right? Like, I know in the offseason, we tend to want to look at the upside and say, hey, man, this Kenny Pickett could work out. He could be Andy Dalton. I don't think he's Andy Dalton. I think he's just worse than that. I think he's a mediocre at best quarterback. I think he's a backup. I think that's what his potential is. If I'm wrong, I'll die on that hill that I'm wrong on. I've been wrong before, so not saying this is a declaration of what his career is going to be. But if you're asking me what I think, I think it's a problem when you draft a quarterback in the 1st round, and I still think the guy with more upside is the dude you signed in free agency.
So also the Steelers, right? This is the obvious one in this rankings. I think the main thing is if you want to know how we really think about Kenny Pickett, go watch the draft video. Go fast forward until that pick and how we celebrated.
There are plenty of people in the comments who have timestamps to the exact moment, so you don't have to go far. Yeah.
So that's how the 3 of us felt that day. Look, Mitch Trubisky is on a good day, a decent quarterback. On a good day,
what
his average?
Tony, sorry about that. Real quick, Tony. Real quick, one question: what happens if Mitch Trubisky ends up being the Andy Dalton of this situation? Is that worse than it being Kenny Pickett because Mitch would be more expensive?
I hadn't thought about the idea of like, what if Mitch comes in, he wins the job, and then he's just like, he like resurrects his career.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
I think that's more possible that he comes in like course corrects a little, because he wasn't awful.
Correct.
In Chicago, but he just wasn't good. And I think you can make that look a little bit better with the right system and the right coaching. What happens then if he just is like decent? Do you just get rid of him to see if you can take out a Kenny Pickett, or do you extend him to more money? This is the conundrum that this quarterback room.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a comp. Like, what is this happened to the Steelers before, where they signed a veteran along with drafting a player, and then the veteran ended up being really good, and so they had, what did they do with the rookie? I can't really think of.
And also, Mitch Trubisky's not old, right? He's at that age to where he could have some upside. He's a former number 2 pick, and would you say who would like if Mitch Trubisky looked all right? Would you feel like he could have more upside than Kenny Pickett? Like I feel like
certainly
physically,
upside.
Yeah, physically it's there. So if you get any sign, what the hell do you even do right? With
I think
that.
that's
probably
like is that kind of like a Tennessee Titans situation where they traded for Ryan Tannehill but had drafted Mariota?
Well,
Tannehill kinda
Mariota had
outplayed
flamed
him.
out for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So these are
Yeah,
two
yeah.
guys who are just getting a new start on the same team at the
Yeah.
same time. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I think
Yeah.
for me, if something like that will happen, it has to be that Mitch is not an average quarterback, right? We talk about Mitch is basically a top 15 quarterback, and then you can say, okay, then let's stash Pickett, or say, okay, let's just shelf Pickett, right?
He's
If
old.
The
Well,
what?
old for a rookie, right? So like,
No,
you
I
can't really
understand.
stash him.
Well, my point is,
Well, you eat it. I mean, again, if Mitch is that good, eat it. Who cares?
Exactly, that's the point. If he's top 15, top 12, like 15 to 12,
What if
maybe
he's
you do that.
like? What if he not top 15? Like what I'm saying is Andy
If you
Dalton
lower
range is
than that,
like
you go with a rookie.
some
Point.
games he might be 12, other games he might be 22.
Well, look, I mean, again, the idea that
Yeah.
Mitch, the idea that Kenny doesn't beat out Mitch, well, I mean, I guess again in this scenario, if Mitch is a top, if Mitch is a the kind of quarterback that could, let's say Mitch Trubisky is good enough to lead the Steelers to the playoffs in 2022. That's a pretty good problem to have, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think the Steelers are going to be going, oh man, we really
what
screwed
about
this
10
up.
games, 10 wins, but no playoffs? Because that could very easily happen. 10
Right.
wins, no playoffs, or 9 wins, no
Then
playoffs.
what do they
Over
do going into
500,
23?
no playoffs. What do you do?
Yeah, in 23, you keep it. You keep the competition open, right?
You
But at
know
that
what?
point, I think you got to start looking at Kenny like, look, man, you're
Well,
going on
the
20,
Bengals
25,
are
going on
doing, right?
26. You got to.
Well, you have to see if it was a fluke or not. I think you have to get that second year to see whether or not it was a fluke.
Yeah,
and then the
Trubisky's
second
under a 2-year
season,
deal.
that's probably when you would probably pull the trigger if
Which
it was.
raises why Tony has an issue with this pick, because this very predicament is exactly why you wanted to get somebody who you felt like the upside's there, right? If you take the gamble on Malik Willis, you're like, okay, I know that if Malik Willis hits, he will be better than what Mitch Trubisky could be if he's decent. With Kenny Pickett, it's like, you taking a gamble, but are you that confident that like a decent version of a good version of Mitch Trubisky would be better or worse or just the same? Like, wouldn't it be in the same ballpark as a worked out version of Kenny Pickett?
Well, I think my thought process is, look, if Kenny comes in right away and loses the job to look, my thought here, take aside what Colbert and Tomlin will do. My thought process is this: you draft a 24-year-old quarterback who played 5 years of college ball. He just had a major leap in play year over year. If you're expecting him to make another leap, right? If you expect that he needs to sit for a year, like, hey, we're going to wait for one more year for him to kind of make another leap, I think you're fooling yourself. If he can't come in right away and beat out Mitch Trubisky for the job, then I think, again, for me, it's like, look, Kenny Pickett's not going to be that guy. I don't think this is a situation where I'm going to go into 23 thinking like, yeah, I mean, sure, Kenny Pickett didn't start last year, but, this is the year he really turns it on. Like, he had that leap year over year. It happened last year. I don't know that we're going to get another big one like that. So if you can't beat out Mitch right now, what are the chances you're ever going to become my franchise guy? Very, very low at that point.
All I'm saying, Pittsburgh fans, I really hope that you guys have this conversation, which is, well, it took him 5 years at Pitt, which would mean that you guys are miserable if you are having that conversation about, oh man, well, his 5th year is really when he got started at Pitt, so we need to wait to year 5 to really make a determination on Kenny Pickett. I'm all here for
it. BD Lambert, shout out to you, man. No matter what other order you guys choose, Tom Brady will be ranked 5th. I thought that was
Nova Stone would not be happy with that one.
It's the opposite of Nova. It's
He'll be here
Nova Stone's. Yeah,
shout out to the homie, because he's trying to make us money. He's trying to goat Nova Stone into sending a million super chats in here to respond to that super chat. And I respect the game.
One thing I want to ask you, Tony, just to make it interesting, taking backups into account. Let's say the top 10. Where do you rank Kenny Pickett then?
Taking backups into account.
So taking in account Jacoby Brissett as well as Huntley for the Ravens, where would you?
Yeah. Well, I think the only room right now that I think has a big question mark at the backup spot is the Bengals, right?
No. Just yeah. So like, if we're just going individually, Kenny Pickett. Outside of those top 3,
who would I have out of those? It's hard because he's never played. I mean, this is why I normally don't take rookies into account because so my ranking would be Huntley 1, Pickett 2, Brissett 3, and then what is it? Brandon? Is it still Brandon Allen?
Brandon Allen.
Yeah.
He has to be better than Brandon Allen. If he's not better than Brandon Allen, you got
there's big issues.
Yeah. So I think it's Huntley 1, because I mean we just saw Huntley win games for the Ravens last year. Huntley won, Pickett 2.
Whoa,
Brissett
win
3.
is a strong word for what?
Yeah, he didn't win
He
too
played
many.
well.
He didn't win too
No,
many.
he didn't win too many.
He didn't win.
No,
Did
but
he
I
win
think he
one?
won game. I mean, like he's
He
look,
came
Kenny
in a
Pickett's never
game.
won an NFL game before, right?
I don't
Kenny
think he
Pickett's
came
never
in
won
to
an NFL
start.
game
And
before. Huntley
did he start a
leads.
game that he won though last year? Sonny? I don't
If
think
he
so.
did win, was it only one? It wasn't it
No,
that
I
Andy
don't
They beat
think
the
Dalton
Bears.
game.
No, hold on. They beat the Bears.
He didn't
They
win
beat the
that.
Bears.
He won the Andy Dalton game. Yeah.
Okay, he won the
Andy
okay, so
Dalton
he
game.
beat
Yeah.
Andy Dalton. Okay, he won
Hey,
the
what are we
preseason
doing?
And
Whoa.
then he
My
lost the
bad.
last fight. He did lost the last fight.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
close. Hey, he lost to Aaron Rodgers by 2 points.
And listen, we
Yeah.
had.
Well, I
we
mean,
had a-
if the
we
Browns
had a
don't
legit
trade Case
discussion.
Keenum.
Hold on. We're hindsight 2020 here because at the time there was an
He
actual
was good.
AFC
He
North
was
talk
good.
debate. You guys can go back and listen to it about whether or not Tyler Huntley should
remember this.
replace
I
Lamar
remember
Jackson in the
that.
long term.
He was good. If I just not gonna miss on opportunity to remind the Ravens how they ended the year last year, which was all L's, no dubs. Like
They
it's
did,
just
didn't they? Who started that streak? Does anyone remember which game it was that they?
It was
I know
procedure
who
how the
I know
fourth-
who put things in motion. The Browns put things in motion, and then boy, y'all put it on
Steelers
the
put
kid in
things in motion.
Pittsburgh, knocked that off, and they never won a game after that. That was honestly the Bengals put it in motion because after they embarrassed the Ravens those 2 times and put 525 up, yeah, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. There was no reason to win any more games after that.
Nah, 525 was.
after
Wait, when
Lamar
was
got
525?
525 was towards the
525
end.
Second
Yeah,
game.
it was after. Okay, that's after the Steelers.
Yeah,
the
that's it.
first
I was
was
like,
Ben
it just-
Roethlisberger. Ben
It
Roethlisberger
was
beat
a
Lamar
really
again.
bad year to be a
Swept
Ravens
them,
fan
actually.
that year, man. Like it had to be an awful year. They gave you all that hope just to have the most embarrassment happen at the end of the year. Like he lost to everybody. 1 out of 6. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It was without the quarterback, but I got it. Enjoy
Yeah.
your time.
Well, one of them was with the quarterback.
Okay,
Lamar played in both Browns games.
Hey.
He did play in both Browns games. You know, I mean, he
Josh
played in one of
Johnson-
the Bengals ones.
In the second Browns game, I think he played not even
He
a
played 2
quarter.
quarters.
Huntley, the game wasn't as
And let's be
as
honest,
far
Huntley
away
was
when
better
Huntley
in that
played.
game than Lamar
Huntley
had
and
been
the
in the other
backups
2.
put up a better performance against
He
the
came
Bengals.
hobbling in that
Oh
game.
my goodness! Listen to this. The games that Huntley started, they lost by 2, 1, 1, and
So
3.
unfortunate.
Yeah,
He
it
was
was-
so
it was
good.
super close.
Like the crazy thing about Huntley is he's gonna get this slander just because they lost. He was so good. in
He
that
was
stretch.
okay. He
Go
was
rewatch that
okay.
Rams game. That
No,
one
he
will
was-
blow your mind. Like,
He
how
was
did they lose
decent.
this game?
He was
He was
decent.
decent.
No, I think
yeah.
the Packers wasn't the Packers his best game?
He
Yeah,
I
he
don't know.
was
He
he
had a
like hit
couple of-
Andrews a million times in that game. He ran a bunch.
Yeah, he was
He
decent.
had a
in
couple
all.
of games where I was like, yo, Huntley's actually balling. Like, let me not be
Yes,
disrespectful.
he did.
But then he lost, and I was like, the memes can continue. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay, Sad Boy here says Odafe O is the best tight end in the AFC North.
damn.
Look who's here, Mr. Nova Stone. Mr. Kick 6 is back, coming to a Browns game near you.
Kick 6. Is he talking
Yeah.
about the dude from Auburn? That's the only Kick 6 I know about.
Yeah,
have
and
no
I'm trying to think of who that was.
That was Chris Davis, but he's not in the NFL anymore.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea. No.
Why did I know that? By the way, he was like a fringe
That
guy.
is-
Like it's
No, that's impressive. That's impressive.
Did he
I
just
just really hated Alabama at that time. I remember I just wanted Alabama to lose, and I watched that game, and that was a seminal moment in my life.
Q, don't care about quarterbacks. He said, bring on the kickers. Oh, by the way, if you don't follow us on Twitter, Tony, catch that video of Q. We posted it on Twitter. Executive decision. We at that moment we realized
No,
what Q really wanted is a
Nah.
special team.
my birthday already happened.
Hey.
Y'all didn't send me nothing. Nah,
waiting.
don't try.
No, it's a late birthday present for you. Don't worry, we got it.
We
We got it.
got it. We got it, man. Don't worry.
I will,
We'll
you'll
have
see a you'll see a press release. Quincy has left AFC North Talk. We are right now trying to figure out who can fill in for the Cleveland Browns portion of the show.
I will say this, Tony.
I have
and
Sir Yacht on here.
our current Paul Pickett has
Ryan.
7% there. He's last.
7%. Listen, I like that.
7%.
7%. 7's a good number. Good number for a quarterback in Pittsburgh.
Hey, okay. So that was our fourth. It was pretty easy. Pick walk. Before we keep going, Tony, let's pay some bills.
I previewed this last week because Manscaped sent me the copy for May and June. And when they told me what they were coming out with at the end of May, I am legitimately excited about this. So Manscaped sponsoring today's show. Sweaty sack summer is approaching, and it's time for you to prioritize the comfort of your crotch. That's why the kings of crotch comfort, Manscaped, have spent 2 years designing the most comfortable boxer briefs out there. I've had the honor of testing these new boxers, and I can say it's the softest fabric of any underwear.
Yeah.
So breathable. It's like gills for your groin. They've even trademarked the jewel pouch, so you know it's serious. I think it's time you invest in your family jewels, so let your bulge breathe and get 20% off plus free shipping by using the code AFC North Talk. That's AFC North Talk at manscaped.com. Manscaped sent us all the hosts here have tried the Manscaped boxers, and look, legitimately, they are the best boxers. They make a lot of great products, but their boxers are probably my favorite thing that they make. They're the best boxers I have. And then when they told me they were coming out with a whole line of these, they call them Boxers 2.0. I'm ready to get the whole set, guys. I mean, they are an amazing, amazing product. Let's say you're on a date and your partner catches that Manscaped on the waistband of your underwear. It's almost guaranteed to raise some eyebrows and act like a billboard on the highway to Pleasure Town. This is thanks to their Lawnmower 4.0, the best electric trimmer for below the waist grooming. This trimmer offers skin safe technology designed to trim hair on loose skin. Outside of just ball trimming, they're now focusing on efforts to help out your thigh slappers in other ways with the game-changing boxers. These boxers include the jewel pouch, a pouch designed to cradle your boys in their own special place, lined with performance performance fabric to keep them well ventilated. Basically, just imagine your balls sipping pina coladas, chilling on a hammock on some tropical beach. The micro model fabric is buttery soft and breathable, keeping your cucumber cool. Walk, run, strut. These moisture wicking boxers breathe without breaking a sweat. And you can get these boxers for 20% off and free shipping, but you got to use our promo code AFC North Talk. AFC North Talk at manscaped.com. Check out those boxers. They are legitimately great.
They are. They definitely are. Here, Q, this is what he was meaning. Brandon Urban re-signed with the Ravens. And you remember that game that the Browns basically have?
Oh, that's like 8 years ago. 8 years ago.
Got it.
It was like
And the only dude I remember
Deep cut.
running is Cameron Irvin chasing with them bad knees. I don't remember who caught
cut.
the ball. You talk about a game the Browns
he
lost and they
blocked
were
it.
going to win 4 games that season anyways. I've erased that from my mind. It is not like losing a playoff game where I'm gonna remember that, or the trauma that Antonio Brown has done to me. Raven fans want to act like they did the same stuff that the Steelers did to us. Y'all ain't at that level. It's only one Antonio Brown in Big Ben that has traumatized me. Y'all ain't like that. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? It ain't like that with the rest of y'all.
Tom Brady still above Kenny Pickett in a division he don't play. Here it is.
Boy, what a flex.
No, it's
Tom Brady
fifth, so you've been
better
behind
than
Kenny.
Kenny
You've been behind
Pickett.
Kenny. Above Mitch, but behind Kenny.
You know what I
Sorry.
mean?
Sorry, Nova Stone.
Hot take.
Hot
Super
take.
hot take.
behind Mitch.
Behind Mitch.
Oh, that's a good
Go
one.
ahead of
Okay.
Mitch. All right, ahead of Mitch, behind Kenny.
Okay, so now we gonna
Now the fun starts.
number 3. I'm gonna go with Tony again since you're go.
Oh,
go
wait,
ahead,
I
Q.
want to start.
You want to start? Okay, number 3.
No.
Let's start with you. The petition. Go ahead.
No, I'm not gonna put Joe Burrow at 3. I'm not gonna do that. I'm putting the Browns here at 3. This makes the most sense, right? The Browns, the quarterback situation, we don't know, right? Even if Deshaun Watson does play the whole season, we don't know which version of him are we going to be getting coming off of this long hiatus, right? Is it going to be 2020 Deshaun Watson? Is it going to be more or less 2018 Deshaun Watson, right? That varies where he would be ranked. We don't know how much Deshaun Watson we're going to get, and we don't know what to expect out of Jacoby Brissett. What we can say is that I would rather have the combination, although unsure of it as it is, with Deshaun Watson and Jacoby Brissett. And if you want to throw Baker Mayfield in there, I guess you can, but I'm not factoring him in here. He get checks, but he ain't really on the team no more. I would rather have that over Pittsburgh situation, but when it comes to the Bengals, you wouldn't want this uncertainty over just flat out having Joe Burrow. And even though the Ravens are growing in their uncertainty at the quarterback position, given that, Lamar just is, interestingly enough, he on his way, but he ain't at OTAs. That's an odd one. That's a little odd, but things been odd all summer with Lamar Jackson. But we'll see what happens there. But as of right now, I'm pretty confident that you don't have to worry if Lamar Jackson's going to play the majority of the season and he doesn't have a suspension looming over his head or any situation like that. So I would feel comfortable ranking them ahead, given that he's a former MVP and a dude that I honestly believe is going to have a great year this year. So I will go Deshaun Watson, the Cleveland Browns, here at 3. Everybody else, do what you will with that information.
Okay, Tony, go ahead, man.
All right, number 3 from, like I said, this was easy. When I got past the Steelers, I was like, okay, how do I rank between Bengals, Browns, and Ravens? All right, this is very, very simple. Number 3, I'm sticking with Old Faithful here. Let's talk about Mr. Regression himself, Joseph Burrow, number 3.
I didn't expect that.
Just kidding. Number 3 for me.
I was like, let me get out of here before they blame me. Because Bengal fans have to blame me.
If we only had the likes showing, you probably should.
Oh, we should turn them back on. We should turn them back on just for that moment.
Messing with Bengal fans is like slandering Beyonce on Twitter. They will find you, dog. Like they'll be unreasonably mad about whatever you say. I have learned. I'm gonna leave them alone until it's reason to get back on. Well, I'm not leaving them alone until they beat us. I'm gonna leave them alone. But yeah.
Number 3 for me is also the Cleveland Browns. And honestly, look, we were talking about this before the show. I considered putting them 4 because as we start to hear some of the allegations that come out against Watson, as I was saying before, there is now a non-zero chance that that Deshaun Watson never plays it down for the Cleveland Browns. Obviously they're going to have this HBO show tonight. We'll see how this goes. I still think in all likelihood he's going to get suspended for half a season, something like that. As Quincy talked about, let's say he gets no suspension. I still would put them 3 because he's spent a year off. It is going to be interesting watching him go into this offense, that had been a run first offense. You've got Nick Chubb, you got Kareem Hunt. Again, I don't think you're paying Deshaun Watson $50 million a year, to hand the ball off 30 times a game. So I think that, there's an interesting kind of gameplay dynamic there. Not to say that this isn't going to work. I mean, I think, Deshaun Watson is a good quarterback. They'll make this work. But for me, this is pretty easy to put the Browns 3. There's question marks around whether or not he's going to play at all. And then even if he does play, he's got to work out the rust and they have to work out this offense building around him. So, yeah, for me, Browns 3.
Ace?
For me, I'm going to go and put the Ravens here. I'm putting Lamar Jackson here, and that's based off of looking at the last 2 seasons. Ever since 2019, the MVP season, where he was obviously a top 5 quarterback, he's kind of taken a little bit of a slide since then. You look at the EPA, 62.7, one of the worst of his career last year. 82.9 in 2020, not bad. You look at 2021, the QBR, 50.7, 67.3 in 2020. So going downhill a little bit. You look at the bad throw percentage. That's what stood out the most to me. He was 3rd with that last year, 11th the year before. The postseason record, 1-3 for me, is another thing. And he's the only, this is the craziest part because a lot of people are going to bring up the MVP, right? Do you know within the last 15 seasons, Lamar Jackson is the only MVP at the quarterback position that has not made a trip to the Super Bowl? Like, go through the whole list, go look at all of it. Because I know people are going to say, well, what about the MVP? He is the only MVP quarterback that has done that. The issue with that and why I don't see it moving up. Hold on. I'm not finished yet.
I just want you to repeat that he has not gone to the Super Bowl. Is that what you said?
Yes, he is the only Super Bowl quarterback, or not Super Bowl quarterback, MVP.
Super Bowl winning
MVP. Quarterback, yes, that has not made a trip to the Super Bowl. So the reason why this doesn't move up for me is what did Baltimore do to kind of improve that, right? They fixed the line, sure. They took away Hollywood Brown, one of his best receivers, whether you like him or not, one of his best receivers. Greg Roman, the reason for his statistical down play, in my opinion, because I don't think that is just Lamar, is still there. It's still his offense. And the plan next year that we've all been hearing is to go back to the heavier personnel, right? So how does that equal better statistics from a passing standpoint in this division or any of that? Like, I hear the 2019 talk, But 2020 was also a season where they also used a heavy personnel, but he wasn't the same guy that he was in 2019. And I think that he can be that guy, but the last 2 years of what I've seen from Lamar Jackson has not been that guy. Still a great guy, but the other guy that I'm going to talk about at number 2, I will give you my reasons on why he edged Lamar Jackson out. But I've got the Baltimore Ravens at number 3.
Okay. Let me do some super chats, but the only thing that I will address, because I don't want to get in back and forth, is isn't Aaron Rodgers won the last 2 years? When did he go to the Super Bowl after he won the MVP?
He already won one.
Oh, so it's, if he made a Super Bowl at any point in their career,
At any point in their career, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think that's
like,
a lazy stat. I think that's kind of.
Well, I mean, like, because it counts. Aaron Rodgers has won 2 back-to-back, and he hasn't even gotten to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like,
after winning the MVP, he has done shit. So anyway,
it could be skewed. I mean, like, there's Cam Newton 2015.
Well, I mean, they had
Super
Matt
Bowl
Ryan
run,
on the list,
and then Matt Ryan
had
2016. There was a Super Bowl run. Tom Brady 2017. There was a Super Bowl run. Patrick Mahomes, did he make it to the Super Bowl the year he won the MVP in 2018? No, I think that's the year the D4 jumped.
He made it afterwards. So
yeah, but he made it the year after, because that was the same year Lamar had won his MVP. I don't know. Lamar's playoff success is one of the things that people can only talk about because he's been to the playoffs like every year he started. But it's like there are other dudes who are less successful that don't have the playoff stigma just because they ain't been there. It's like when people were like, Luka can't get out the first round. You know what I mean? Because Luka always in the first round. That's why he can't get out the first round, right? It's just one of those things where I think he has outpaced what the expectations are. And sometimes that can lead to something unfair. But it is a point. He is an MVP. But again, also, like, he an MVP. You know what I mean? Like, there's only like so many players that have ever done that. So it's kind of a hard thing to hold against him, is my only point that I'll say.
No, I mean, I'm not holding it against him. I'm just saying out of all the MVPs, Cam Newton and all of them, he's the only one that hasn't made it to the Super Bowl.
Also, a unanimous MVP is worth noting there, right? Like, he was unanimous in that year. The only other guy in the modern era that's still playing that got a unanimous MVP is Tom Brady in 2010.
Tony, were you gonna say something before we?
Well, look, I actually, you know, and I'll talk about Lamar when we get to wherever I rated him. I don't necessarily agree. I don't disagree with a lot of what Ace said. I mean, I do think, look, Lamar Jackson since his MVP season, you know, has not had two. You wouldn't say he's had 2 stellar campaigns in these back-to-back seasons. You know, we can look, obviously last year you can put an asterisk on the season itself because the offensive line wasn't that good. There's injuries everywhere. And, you know, he was kind of putting the team on his back and saying, like, you know, let's just, you know, let's do this thing my way. And they were 8-3 at one point in the season. You know, I think the interesting stat to me about the whole, he won an MVP, but he never made it to the Super Bowl. You know, look, I think the thing that stat points out is that when you have a top caliber quarterback, you know, that is what it takes to get you to the promised land, right? If you want to win a Super Bowl, you have to have that. Or at least you have to have close to that. And the fact that Lamar Jackson, you know, look, what's interesting to me about that stat is that Lamar Jackson, not only has he not made the Super Bowl, he's won 1 playoff game. He's won 1. A playoff game is what he's won so far. Now, look, do I think that this brings him down in my rankings? No, but that's more because I think that Cleveland has massive question marks at their quarterback spot, bigger even than I think the question marks about who Lamar Jackson is. And my questions about Lamar are a little different than what Ace brought up, but, you know, we'll talk more about that when we get there.
Okay, so a couple super chats here. Patiently waiting for the Burrow slander from Sonny. LL, Tony got me. Browns have a bad culture and the team is not deep.
How can you have enough information to have a take like that?
He said he's a Browns fan, by the way.
Traditionally, the Browns do not have a good culture. I mean, I don't think Browns do not have a good culture is just a blanket fact until it's not, in my eyes. Like the Steelers have a good culture, and that's a fact until it's not.
Do they? Because they the ones that have the locker room stories flare up all the time, right? Like it's just the locker room culture switches from year to year. You know, I mean, this isn't like this 20-year thing where it's like the same.
I think it's
every year there's a different energy in a locker room.
Know.
Because in 2020, the Browns had an amazing locker room. 2021, terrible locker room. It changes every year. Those dynamics shift every year. So yeah, you might have a great, like the Bengals this year, probably had a great locker room, right? Everybody was getting along. Let them start 0-4. That locker room people gonna be wanting their targets. Like it's gonna rip up and shift in ways that you don't know. Like that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about, oh, do the Browns have a stigma over them? Of course, they're the Browns, right? We haven't won much. But as far as a locker room goes, like those dudes in the locker room ain't got nothing to do with the last 20 years of failure because most of them dudes ain't been on the team that long. So when you're talking about a locker room culture, like that's a hard thing to
it's not.
say.
I wouldn't say
I
locker
don't
room.
think locker room.
I don't
Yeah,
think
That's what
locker
he
room.
said.
let me go back. He said back culture.
Bad culture and the team is not deep. He's talking about the roster, the culture
No, I
on
would
the
say
roster.
the Browns culture as an organization is. I would just. I mean,
Who
much like I would say
who
the Steelers have
cares
a good
about
culture.
the culture as an organization? The Bengals were cheap until they went to the Super Bowl. Oh, Bengal culture, it sucks. They're cheap. They don't spend any money. All of a sudden, that don't move no needles, right? Like, who cares about that? That doesn't matter at all. Steeler culture been great until you go 8-8.
Okay, so another super chat here for Soul Train says Watson dealt with some injuries in Houston. Does it help that he had a year off to fully recover? I mean, maybe, yeah, he could be rested. So with that, I'll segue with
He's gonna be very rested. Yeah, he's gonna be very rested.
yeah.
Yeah.
With that, I'll segue to my third. I have the Browns. There's the question mark of a suspension, right? I will say this also before I keep going. I think 3-2-1, they're very close. I think 3-2-1 have really good rooms. I know the Bengals don't have the backup, but okay, whatever. The hope is none of these backups play, right? And so 3-2-1 are very close. But the reason I'm actually putting them third is he's very rested. Hence, he hasn't played in a while. I don't like when players don't play in a while. It might take him time to get the timing back. I mean, it's only so much speed you can see in practice versus game. Watson was an incredible player in Houston.
One thing to note, though, he did practice all last year. So this isn't like one of those situations where it's a little bit different because he was on a roster. It was a weird situation in Houston where he was on a roster. He just was never active on game day voluntarily.
Yeah.
So it's not as if he was banned or suspended for the whole season and stayed the whole year away from football, which is a little bit different than
I agree.
What happened with him last year, which is I don't know how he's gonna come. Like it's not as much as a question to me because it's just like it is what it is. I'm more worried about the suspension than anything with him, right? And I think he'll probably come back and be relatively normal.
I think, well, for me, I mean, if it was a year, yeah, I mean, but Watson has been out, man, was it a year and a half, 2 years now, right? Something like that. And yes, he was on the team, but it wasn't like he was practicing with first. Again, my whole point is more like when you're in the game action, right? Game action, game speed is way different than practice. And like I said from last year with Burrow, this can be if he doesn't get suspended, specifically with Watson, he can jump from third, as I'm ranking him and the Browns, to 1 at the end of the year, right? None of these versus what you guys in the fan base think. None of these are set in stone. They move throughout the year, and I have them third, not because he's not. Again, I think Watson in this offense is going to be good because the one thing that the Browns have that the Houston does not have or did not have when Watson was there was a good O-line, right? Now Watson tends to hold the ball a lot. Ravens usually sack him a lot. Mostly sack. It wasn't that the Houston offensive line was trash in the games that we were playing. It was just Watson was just holding the ball. And that's a question that I have. Amari Cooper's there, so we'll see how he utilizes Cooper. But other than that, how he utilizes the rest, the tight ends and all that. I mean, we'll see how he fits in this offense. I think there's an upgrade on quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. We'll see when he gets back. I different from Tony and some of the others. I don't think he gonna get suspended that long. I think he gets at most, like for me, like at most will be 8, probably more in the 4 to 6. But yeah, I have them third. I don't think he's there in third at the end of the year. He might move all the way to 1. He might stay in third. We'll see. But 3, 2, and 1 for me were very, very close. With that, let's move to number 2. I'll go with Q since you were the one that broke the number 3.
I need everybody in the chat to be an adult about this tape. I need y'all to listen to me. Now I know some of y'all ain't gonna do that. Y'all gonna be mad because I know both fan bases. Y'all, we have had a history. Bengal fans and I, Raven fans and I, we have had a history about this debate. I'm put the Bengals here at 2 with Joe Burrow. Now, the one thing I'm gonna say here is we're ranking the room, right? We're ranking the room. The Ravens have a better starting and backup situation than the Bengals do at this point. Also, when it comes to the Joe Burrow versus Lamar Jackson debate, I think this is going to be an interesting one this year. One, because Raven fans, remember, Lamar Jackson's in a contract year. As we speak right now, he is in a contract year right now. So we might get contract year Lamar Jackson. They're going to be leaning on him a lot. I think we could get some spectacular play from him because of that. And who knows, maybe Rashard Bateman, who's a more skilled wide receiver than Hollywood Brown, a more talented wide receiver than Rashad Bateman. But maybe that skill there might unlock something and make him a better target once he's given those number one reps, number one targets for Lamar Jackson to make Lamar's passing attack even more credible than it already is. Also, you have to give him that Tyler Huntley was not bad last year. Like, he lost a lot of games, but he was the reason the Ravens were in a lot of those games late in the year. So you have a solid backup situation. Your starting quarterback is a former MVP. Now, when we flip to the Bengals, I'm not going to say I'm overly concerned about the Bengals because at the end of the day, relative to everybody else in the NFL, the Bengals have nothing to worry about in it when it comes to quarterback. But there are some things you worry about, right? After having a spectacular year like Joe had, most quarterbacks tend to have a small regression after that year. When you look at, and I know Bengal fans, they have replied to this point, and there is some credence to this where people say, hey, everything went right for the Bengals last year. And in the micro, you can find things that went wrong, right? There were injuries and stuff. I remember making this argument for the 2020 Browns, right? Everybody said everything went right for them, but there were injuries and stuff. There were small things that happened, but in the big picture, you were more fortunate than not, and more fortunate than most teams tend to be, right? You got a favorable matchup in both playoff games. Not saying that they were givens, not saying that you lucked into the Super Bowl, right, or anything like that. But given what the path is and how tough that path is normally, having to go through Ryan Tannehill and Derek Carr to get to the AFC Championship game, that's usually that we would be fortunate if anybody else fell in that position, any of our other teams that we cheer for fall in that position. I don't think we're going to fall in that position again, right? Like Ryan Tannehill and Derek Carr. And even if it's Derek Carr, like it's going to be Derek Carr with Devontae Adams, not Derek Carr throwing that thing up to that tight end 45 times a game and turning it over. So it was a little bit of that, right? I expect a little regression. Look, I think the Bengals will be a better team. I don't know if their record will reflect that at the end of the year, just because there could be regression in some other areas, or there could just be a regression in some of the fortune that the Bengals had last year. Not saying that they're going to be a bad team, not saying that, the Bengals can't be a contender next year. But when it comes to this quarterback ranking, that plus, the room being better for Baltimore, when you look at what they have at the backup position, I mean, I think we all said it. Tyler Huntley is the best backup in the AFC North, right? Probably followed by Jacoby Brissett. And then, whatever the Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky situation is. And then there's a big gap between that and Brandon Allen, who, nobody's going to expect anything out of Brandon Allen if he has to start a game. Now, we're talking about the margins. These margins are paper thin when you're talking about a guy who was this close to winning the Super Bowl MVP last year and a dude who won a unanimous MVP in 2019. The margins are just this thin. So it's not that big of a gap between the rankings here. There's no reason to be upset that your guy did or did not get number one here, but that is my take. I would put Joe Burrow at number 2 for these reasons that I have stated explicitly, not for hatred. Have I not defended my position thoroughly enough here so that I don't have to deal with people acting like I'm being baseless out here? All right. I'm just saying we can refer to the tape once this is out. You know what I mean? So that is why I have this opinion. I stand on this as of May 24th, 2022. Things can change during the season, though.
Okay, Tony.
Number 2 for me. So like, obviously, it's Steelers gap. Although again, with the Deshaun stuff, I did actually consider putting Deshaun, and the Browns with 4 because again, I just can't get over. I really do think that there's a chance that Watson never plays it down for them, considering what came out. We'll see what the HBO thing is. But anyway, look, 2 and 1 were close for me, like they were for Q. I kind of went back and forth in my mind. I landed on Baltimore and the Ravens number 2 here with Lamar. And the reason why I have the Ravens 2, and I think I've said this before, so I won't belabor this point for too long, but I openly question whether or not Lamar Jackson wants to be in this offense. I mean, him and Hollywood Brown are really good friends, and Hollywood left the team because he doesn't like the offense. And my thought process is, Lamar's pissed. He won't talk to the organization. I mean, we heard Eric DeCosta, say like they're just waiting for Lamar. They want the deal done. They're just waiting for Lamar to call them back. And my thought process is, does he want to be in this offense? We talked about this offense going back to a more heavy personnel type of offense. The type of offense he won an MVP in. Yeah, he was really, really good that year. Great that year even. But is that the quarterback that he wants to be, or does he want to be thought of, like a Justin Herbert or a Joe Burrow or a Patrick Mahomes, right? Guys who are considered top 5 quarterbacks, not because they play in this run first offense that's very unique, but because they are top throwers in the game and everything. And I'd say Lamar Jackson's a bad thrower of the ball, but I wouldn't put him on the level of any of those players. And that's that to me, that's still the open question. I don't know that Lamar wants to be in this offense. I think Lamar Jackson is likely in for, if he buys in, if he signs the contract and he buys in and like this thing goes, he is in for, in all likelihood, a monster season. And that's why I did consider putting him at number 1. But we're doing these rankings in May. He hasn't signed the contract yet. And there's been no indication that that's coming or that's close or that he's ready to talk or anything like that. So if we did these rankings in August and he had signed the contract, I may have actually put Lamar 1 here. But today in May, I can't do that. I have real questions about whether or not he wants to be in Baltimore, and whether or not he wants to be in this offense. And so for now, I will put him number 2. There are open questions about Joe Burrow too. Quincy outlined some of them. I'll talk about more when we talk about Joe. But for me right now, it goes Lamar 2, then Joe 1.
Ace?
Yeah, for me, I'm putting the Browns here, mostly because of Deshaun Watson. Obviously, there is a looming suspension. That is very true. And, we do talk about the room. But for me, in all of our hopes, I don't think we want to see any of the guys in the room in the game, right? Because that would be because someone was injured. The last time we saw Deshaun Watson, he was the number 3 quarterback on PFF. This man threw for 4,800 yards. He had an MVP type season. Did he win MVP? No. But he was one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. He actually was number 1 in EPA for 2020 and 2019. He was 70.5 in QBR, which is actually better than the season that Joe Burrow, according to ESPN, just had last season. He had a deep ball completion percentage good enough for top 5. And I think the factor here is not only is he with a better team, he is in the Stefanski offense. So I do think that that'll bring him down a little bit. So I think that you'll see more of 2019 Deshaun Watson versus 2020, which you saw the year before that, which is still a good Deshaun Watson, but it's not as explosive and not a guy that's near 5,000 yards. The other thing about him, I looked at the postseason records as well. He has a 1-2 playoff record. So he literally has, I guess, a loss less than Lamar. He's got better weapons as far as the wide receivers, as far as the running backs, as far as the offensive line. I think that bodes well for him. You could argue better defense potentially based off of what we saw from Cleveland last season. And a lot of people are like, okay, he took a season off. How is he going to react to that? Well, one of the things that I would bring up about Joe Burrow last year, the person that I would point to after his injury, Deshaun Watson, right? So his first rookie season, he goes down, and everybody's like, oh, okay, he's going to struggle to come back. He ended that season, I think, with like 1,600 yards because he was hurt early. The next season that he came back, 4,165 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 103 quarterback rating. I'm not really worried about Deshaun Watson proving himself as a quarterback. I think he's done that enough in this league to say that and warrant that. And I think the last 2 years of what we've seen from Deshaun Watson is probably closer to what we'll see from him in this upcoming season. So for me, that's why I'm putting the Browns at number 2, because Deshaun Watson, I think in recent history, has been better than Lamar Jackson.
Quick question for you, Ace. You were bothered by Lamar Jackson's playoff record, but you're not bothered. I mean, this
By
is
Deshaun Watson's? Deshaun Watson's is better.
I
That was
mean,
one
it's
of the
better.
deciding.
It's better by one game. He's been in the league longer and has made the playoff less times.
Lamar Jackson is 0-2 at home with the postseason. So in games where he should have been favored, he's 0-2. Deshaun Watson edges him out by the one game, which is why it was close for me. But then when you look at the other aspects of it, if we want to get into the advanced passing metrics and stuff like that, Deshaun Watson is significantly better than him in those categories. Now, here's the other thing that gets you too. If you go on playerprofiler.com and you put in Deshaun Watson as far as the most comparable player, it's Lamar Jackson. So they both can run. I think that Lamar is obviously the better runner, but I think that Deshaun is the better passer. And I think that he's in a better situation. If Lamar Jackson was in the same situation, I'd lean Lamar Jackson. But, Deshaun is not in the Greg Roman offense. He has Amari Cooper. He has a lot of weapons that he can depend on. He has a better offensive line. He's just in a better situation, in my opinion. And I think that bodes for him having the better season between the two coming up this season.
Okay. So let me start with this. I think the contract talk here is outrageous in my opinion. He's talking about that the contract somehow it makes him go down a notch. I think it's crazy talk. Now you can say that the contract situation is a thing, might be a thing, but that will bring Lamar Jackson down because he doesn't have a contract. I
think it would bring him up. Contract years, the guys always go out.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I put him at. That's why I was going to put him at 1. He in that contract year.
Yeah.
It was kind of a meme, but it's like we seen the last time the Ravens had a quarterback in a contract year. Boy, did he have a season, right? Like, he had a postseason. He had an okay
he made it to the season.
He made it to the playoffs, and then he turned into John Elway for like 5 games. Like, but I'm just saying, like that's to me more of a positive in every way because it might make me right about these rankings, and who knows, maybe he might price himself out of Baltimore. And it just seems like to me that Lamar likes it in Miami, and I don't know, they putting a lot of pieces together in Miami. You know what I mean? You think they got Tyreek Hill for Tua? But could you imagine Lamar Jackson come around that corner on that speed option with Tyreek on the other side? I mean, that would make sense. I'm just saying, Lamar to Miami, it's home for him. Is he going to be a Dolphin? Chat? Let me know. Will Lamar Jackson be a Dolphin before the end of this decade? I think yes.
So we had a couple super chats there. I almost forgot. Nobody was taking Burrow over Lamar before Chase, and then Brandon Allen beat the Steelers Texans with Watson, and that's it. Okay. So yeah, the contract situation. Also, 2019. We talk about Ravens not having a receiver. I mean, I brought this up before. Ravens are trying to go back to 2019. And I think Ace, or if not Ace, one of you guys said that, well, he really wants to play in that offense, with there was more heavy run, more, not a prime time receiver in that offense. Well, that's how he won unanimous MVP. And my God, if he wins another unanimous MVP and to Ace point and makes a deeper run to the playoffs, his contract, as we apparently love to talk about the contract of Lamar, it will get bigger. To Quincy's point, it will get bigger. So Lamar usually is not a guy that has been looking at his numbers as much. He has not done that. I mean, he might do it this year, but he hasn't so far in his career. It's mostly about winning. He's all about winning. So Yeah, I think a couple of the things you guys have been mentioning, I think it's, in my opinion at least, is not as accurate about Lamar Jackson. Now, you can have the opinion about putting Watson or Burrow on top of Lamar. I'll respect that. But the whole notion, I mean, the Costa talk about how he said to Lamar, what is the thing that you need the most? And he said, O-line. And I agree. I mean, I was one who was just beating the drum like, hey, Lamar needs O-line before receiver. Do we need more receiving depth? Yeah, we do. We do. They were more heavy on tight ends. Lamar likes to throw to the tight ends. But that me saying all that, for me, number 2, I would put the Ravens here. And that might be a surprise to some of y'all. And my reasoning is I took the backups out because even though I take the room for most parts of the rankings as I go by, I'm praying that neither Lamar, Burrow, Watson, or whoever the hell the Steelers pick gets hurt. I don't want to see no backups for quarterbacks. Running backs and the other ones are more of the room. Then I was thinking, okay, Lamar had a bad O-line. Lamar had a horrible O-line. So did Joe Burrow, right? So did Joe Burrow. Actually, I've been playing with some stats. I'm trying to do like an analytics script. Lamar got hit at the same rate as Joe Burrow, sacked at the same rate. I thought Joe Burrow got hit more or sacked more, but if you go per game, Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow basically got the same. Lamar Jackson played less games. And Joe Burrow had a terrific year last year. I cannot debate with Joe Burrow's year last year. So as much as I love Lamar Jackson, and I know my Ravens fans probably hating me right now at this moment. I think Lamar is coming back for a vengeance. I think Lamar Jackson is coming back from us to rank him number 1 next year. And like I said, next whoever. Okay, I mean, we rank these positions once a year, and again, I know you guys as the fan base take these positions and you tattoo somewhere in your room. It's like, Sonny, put this guy a 4th, this guy. This whole move throughout the season. I think Lamar Jackson, as the team is constructed right now, is the best team for his abilities, which you have receivers, in my opinion, that are shorter hands, right? Meaning that they tend not to drop the ball as much. And has a better O-line to then create play action, to do the RPOs and then attack downfield, which is what he did in 2019. We go back in 2019 for all the talk, they run this much. He threw for the most yards in 2019. He threw for the most touchdowns in 2019. So yeah, you might say, but does he want to play in a heavy run? Well, again, he threw for more yards in that type of offense, and he threw for more touchdowns, less pick. And Giro was still the OC. Now, I don't love Giro, but still, he was the OC during that time. Okay, before I go to the queue and number 1, let's go to a couple of other super chats that we have here. Oh, man, I lost. Okay. Robbie here says, thank you for the donation, by the way. Watson played in a weak AFC South. He got wrecked every time he played our division. He will not thrive here.
Cope.
Anime says Ravens or Pittsburgh. Ravens or Pittsburgh can have Baker for a ham sandwich. Any takers? I won't. I don't know.
Nope. No, thank you.
Okay.
Nobody wants Baker Mayfield.
That's gonna be a no for me, dog.
People don't believe this. Everybody's like, we should hold on to him for the end of time because he's an asset. It's an asset if somebody wants him. Don't nobody want him. He's not an asset. He's just a dude taking up a roster spot at this point at $18 million.
Yeah,
no asset. I'm not even convinced that teams won't call Phillip Rivers before they get to him to trade for him.
Someone already did call for Drew Brees before him. He's the Lunacoin of quarterbacks right now. Maybe he has some value if you really believe.
Here's the thing with Baker Mayfield. What he has to offer, nobody wants, which is he's not good enough to take you to the Super Bowl or even like be the quarterback that you go to the Super Bowl with because he's not consistent enough. He's not bad enough that you could bottom out with, or you can't trust him to bottom out because he might be all right. He's good enough if you want to make a playoff game. and maybe win it. But that's it.
Q,
Who wants to do that? What team
Q.
wants to do that? What team is so desperate to do that right now? There's
I think
nobody.
There's 2 teams. I think there's 2 teams here.
There's nobody.
That if he gets cut, because the problem is also
If he gets cut, anybody could sign him, right?
Well,
because
that's the
then
thing. Nobody wants him at
we're
20
talking about
million.
trade.
Nobody wants him at 20 million.
Nobody wants to trade. Nobody wants him at any trade. Nobody wants to give up anything for him.
Well,
Not even the Browns have been willing to eat like 3/4 of this deal. Nobody wants to trade anything for him. It's not even about the money.
Gotcha. But if you're a team, let's say I think Miami or Seattle, right? If you're that team and you're like, they're willing to eat 3/4, right? So I still have whatever 5 mil, and I have to give a 6th or 7th, or I can wait 2 weeks here. They will have to cut him, right? Because they don't want to keep a 53-man roster spot. Forget about the 20. They're gonna eat that 20. They don't want to keep that spot.
Yeah, they know the Browns are going to cut him, but it's like if anybody had any belief that he was going to be anything good for them, they would trade for him, right? If they felt like he could legitimately improve their Super Bowl chances, they would.
If they trade for him, do they have to pay the 22, or does Cleveland?
It depends on what the Browns agree to eat in that deal, right? They have to eat some of it. They will eat some of it. The Browns have reportedly have been willing to eat about half of it. Some reports say up to 3/4 of that deal, and at that point, that's Case Keenum. Well, not Case Keenum money exactly, but that's not a lot of money for a dude who's even going to be a premier backup, right? We're talking about $9 million. So it's more or less a case of nobody is convinced that he can be the guy that takes them to the Super Bowl. It's the only reason you would trade for a quarterback at this point of the year. And if that's not the case, then he's not an asset because nobody wants him enough to secure him. Right. And I don't even know how robust the market's going to be in free agency for him once he does get released, because I do think a release is inevitable at this point. And also, let's think about it like this. If you're Miami, you could hypothetically bring him in, but this is not Madden. You're dealing with actual people here. Do you think Tyreek Hill would be excited about the prospect of bringing in the dude that every other premier wide receiver seems to dislike? Right? Like, that is the thing. You just spent all this money on Tyreek Hill. Would you risk making him unhappy by making him play with Baker Mayfield, a dude who has a stigma that wide receivers don't want to be around? Right? Like, because he messed it up with Odell, whether it's fair or not, that's the reality of the situation with him. And this is why it's not just going to be hard to move Baker Mayfield in the trade. I think it's borderline almost impossible at this point. But even signing Baker Mayfield in outright free agency, it's not going to be the ease that people think is going to be. Like, he might sit there for a little while. And this is crazy because he's a number 1 overall pick who was not awful. But, this is he partly dug himself in this hole by how he's responded to some of this stuff. It hasn't been favorable, but also, like, this is just where he is. And I know people get mad when I say it, especially Browns fans, because they want to believe they can get like a 3rd round pick for the dude. But I'm telling you right now, there's no value. He's not an asset. He's just a hole in the roster at this point because nobody wants him. You have to have people want you in order to be an asset. He's not.
Okay. Before I go back to you, Q, so you can give me your number 1. Make sure you hit that video, guys. Make sure you hit the like. If you haven't subscribe. Look, they're going to have running backs, tight end, secondary, O-line, edge. I mean, we still have some time here for rankings and to piss y'all off a little bit more. Q, tell me, who's your number 1?
Oh, the future Dolphin, Lamar Jackson. Yes, sir. The future Dolphin. Or he could go to Tampa Bay and replace TB12. Let's just face it. There's a lot of quarterback spots opening up in that Florida area. And Lamar Jackson seems to love Florida. I mean, he don't want to leave Florida for nothing. You telling me he don't want to work there too? Where Lamar Jackson at right now, Sonny? What state are you confident that Lamar Jackson is at right now instead of in Maryland at OT?
He's not in Baltimore. He's not in Owens Mills.
He's not in Baltimore. Where he at? Where he at? You know the answer. He's in South Beach. He's in South Beach.
I want to be in South Beach
all summer. And I'm just saying, maybe Lamar is like, they got Tyreek. That offense, they got that new nerdy guy. I could boss him around and do whatever I want. You know what I mean? Like, nerdy guy ain't telling me what to do. I could run that. And I would get the biggest bag in free agent NFL history in the world.
No state taxes.
The Ravens. Oh, and no state taxes? the future Dolphin, Lamar Jackson. Now, we'll see how he gets out of this whole franchise tag situation. I'm not taking a dig. This sounds like it's going to happen. I'm just letting y'all know. Look, LeBron left me for Miami, and I know what the signs are, right? You just notice he likes to be in Miami more often. He's talking about Miami. It don't mean nothing. He ain't going to go nowhere. Next thing you know, he taking his talents to South Beach.
He's opening a restaurant there too, by the way.
Oh, yeah, he got business ventures down there. What that sound like? What does that sound like? Remember when LeBron started having business ventures in LA, and then also, started enrolling his kids in school over there? What did that end up in doing? Oh, LeBron went to LA. I'm just saying, I know what this is like. I've been through it. And I'm just saying, y'all might be burning them number 8 jerseys, but look, he gonna ball this year, though. He gonna be balling. He gonna get MVP votes this year. I think Lamar Jackson is gonna be a tremendous player this year for the Baltimore Ravens. Right now, we'll see what happens in the future with this. But yeah, he'll be. I think he'll be awesome. I think he's gonna progress more in his passing game this year. Because there were signs of that at the beginning of last year before he got hurt and everybody else around him got hurt. There was some signs of some progression there. It regressed later at the end of the year. He had injuries, offensive line stuff going on. The wide receiving stuff was like weird all year. So there was some regression there. I expect him to have an uptick there. If they ask him to run the ball more, I mean, he's still tremendous in doing that. I think he's better as a passer than he was in 2019 when he won the MVP. And I think he'll be as good as a runner there. I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to surprise a lot of people this year. They're kind of falling underneath the radar. People aren't talking about them. Everybody's fixated on the Browns. Everybody's fixated on the Bengals. But Baltimore is not a bad team. I've always said this. I have criticisms about how they have built their team and why I think that prevents them from being a championship winner at the end of the day. But I do think they'll be a very strong team. They'll probably get to the AFC Championship game. And then Lamar will have one of them playoff games he's kind of known for, right? Because that kind of falls into why people have these jokes about Lamar, because it's not just that he loses the playoff games, it's that sometimes he puts up a dookie in them playoff games. And that also is a factor. Given though he's been in a lot of them because he's really good, but you can't lay up but so many turds on national TV before people start clowning you. That just is what it is. But yeah, he'll be tremendous. Tyreek Hill will be looking at him like, man, I can't wait. Like Dwayne Wade in 06, right? You know what I mean? When Dwayne Wade was looking at Braun, like, boy, when that contract is up, we gonna win some rings. And Lamar Jackson is gonna break y'all heart. He gonna come this close to an AFC, to a Super Bowl championship or something like that, the AFC championship. He will come this close. Y'all gonna be like, we can just run this back with Lamar. It's gonna be great. And Lamar gonna sit out or something like that until he gets his release or he gets his free agency or trade to Miami, because Lamar Jackson, before the end of this decade, and I'm dead serious. Y'all think I'm trolling. I am dead serious. I believe this. He will be a Miami Dolphin before the end of this decade, but he will be a Miami Dolphin. Write it in stone. He's not retiring as a Raven. He's going to retire as a Miami Dolphin because that's where he wants to be. The heart is where the soul is, where that soul at right now. Miami, instead of OTAs. He wants to be a Dolphin, Raven fan. So enjoy this he might win the MVP again this year. Enjoy this last excellent year of Lamar Jackson you're going to get, Baltimore Raven fans, because it might not last forever.
Okay.
Take it from me, a Cavs fan. It ain't always going to last forever.
Tony?
Oh, number one? Number one for me is, we did this. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Like I said, this was close for me between 2 and 1. Because look, I don't think that there's a room in this division where I don't have like a big question mark about them, right? I mean, I talked about Lamar. The point for me about the contract was not so much that it's going to be a disincentive for him. My thought is he buying in, right? Is he bought in or is he checked out? There is a part of me that believes that Lamar Jackson may be checked out this year and that he's tired of this offense and the Greg Roman system and being this kind of run first offense. I understand, Sonny, your point about him being great in that offense. I agree with you. He was fantastic. And that's why I said, if he buys in, he'll be the number one quarterback in this division by far, in my eyes. So, my questions about Lamar are about, whether or not who he thinks he is versus who he actually is. I guess you can call it like a self-awareness thing, right? Am I the person I want to be? Is what Lamar Jackson is thinking right now. But we're talking about Joe Burrow
Am I
here.
where I want to be?
That's right. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, he is where he wants to be.
That's
where he will be getting on that plane to go where he wants to go. That's
about a year away from where he wants to be. No, but the question marks for me and Joe Burrow, and I've talked about this before, right? The kind of regression stuff. Look, before we get into the kind of regression and the question mark stuff, I mean, we need to applaud what Joe Burrow did. We all ranked him, I think, number 4, except for Ace last year, and he went out and had, I mean, you can't downplay what he did, what he was able to accomplish as a quarterback, especially given the circumstances. Right? We always talk about how big offensive line play is for quarterback play, and how much that can affect you. Your kind of your time to throw and how much you're under pressure. This is it. Joe Burrow led the league in yards per attempt, led the league, not only in yards per attempt, led the league in completion percentage over expectation, which is a stat the NFL does to say, what is your completion percentage? And then how difficult are the throws you're trying to make? And here's what your completion percentage should be based on the difficulty of throw. He exceeded that number by 7% last year. Joe Burrow did. Obviously he had the instant connection with Jamar Chase, and it doesn't hurt to be a quarterback in the league with a rookie receiver who could be as dominant as Jamar Chase was a season ago. Jamar Chase led the AFC. Did he lead the entire NFL in receiving last year?
No, that was Cooper Kupp.
Oh, that's right, Cooper. Yeah, that's right. So he was, but best in the AFC. Burrow was tremendous, and then obviously the consistent clutch factor of Joe Burrow. Every time they needed to make a play in that playoff run, they made that play up until that final drive. Really up until that second half.
Shoestring trip.
Exactly. They finally turned back into a pumpkin, like I said they would. It just took a little while. It just took
at the last minute, Tony. Like it literally was this close. A centimeter away. It wasn't even the second half. They would have won that game if he makes that throw. But
the second half, I mean, they had like 1.2 yards per play. If you take
the Rams were terrible in that second half too. But this Bengals couldn't make that one play. They made all playoffs. They just got unlucky or unfortunate that one time.
Yeah, and so now I'm going to say some things that are going to make Bengals fans mad, but I don't care because that's what I do. That's my brand. So we act like this Ravens team or this Bengals team, this high-powered offense, the Migos and all of that. Joe Burrow was really good last year, and that's why he's number 1. The Bengals as an offense, was the offense great? I mean, the offense itself. I'm trying to pull up I know by an EPA they were mid-table. Yeah, so by EPA per play, I believe they were mid-table, and then. Mid-table. I'm a soccer fan here. Middle of the pack, and then by yards, just by raw yards as an offense, they were again, kind of middle of the pack there. But what they did better than anyone was those big plays. I was looking up big play numbers for the Bengals. I looked up how many passing plays they had of 20+ yards, of 30+ yards, of 40+ yards. And the thing that stood out to me about that was that their 30+ yard touchdowns that they had, 15. They had 15 30+ yard touchdowns last year. Second place was Tampa. Do you know how many Tampa had last year? 8. They nearly doubled second place in 30+ yard touchdowns. And so I do we've talked about the regression stuff. I do think those numbers are coming down. I think some of the things that they were able to do, kind of just, I talked about it all year, right? You can't play offense like this where it's just like, we're just going to drop the big play. So I think that's coming. I think that number's coming down, but I think the numbers that are coming up are the play-to-play stuff, right? The third down conversions. Joe Burrow was on what was it? Is it the Full Send podcast that he was on?
Yep.
Dude, he's so smart that he had that quote in there where they asked him about the sacks that he took, and he said, "Dude, the sack numbers are so stupid. Who cares? Who cares about how many times you get sacked? It's when you get sacked. If I got sacked on third down, it doesn't matter to me because I probably got sacked on third down because I was waiting to see if a guy came open. I could check it down on third down. It wouldn't matter, right? Yeah, I could check it down and we punt, and it's the exact same thing as me getting sacked. I'm going to wait and hold the ball because I don't care. And, to me, all the things that Burrow was like, all the physical traits that Burrow doesn't have, the huge arm and everything, the throws that he can't make because he's not Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. The thing that you always have to do, you have to make up for that by being smart. And I think, what was it? Daniel Jeremiah was on your show, Ace, and he said, Joe Burrow's the smartest quarterback he's ever watched or whatever.
He's ever watched.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far, but he's super smart. It stands out on tape all the time. Joe Burrow is so intelligent. He knows right where to go with it. The fact that he even thought about, or that it's even a regret of his that he didn't look to Jamar earlier on that play. like that could have been a touchdown on the last play. The smart play is to go to the slant, right? That's why you should not go one-on-one against Jalen Ramsey, for the win in the Super Bowl. You should go to the easy slant that you have on the other side of the field. And yeah, the Rams played it well, but you got to live with that, right? And I think, so for me, the question mark about Burrow is, can he maintain the level of kind of intelligence that he has and get that to an offense that is on a per play basis better. I don't want to talk about the Bengals at the end of the year as another team that was kind of middle of the pack as an offense, but hey, they just got big play after big play, and they're just, we just kind of threw it on with these 30-yard touchdowns. If he can get this team into a top 10 or even top 5 offense on a per play basis, they're going to be a real force. But again, I think the numbers are going to come down to the big play. So if they don't improve, I may look silly here for putting Burrow 1 and Lamar 2, because there's easily a world where those two are flipped.
Ace.
Yeah, for me, Joe Burrow, number 1 PFF quarterback, by the way, first in on target percentage last year. Only quarterback in 2021 to throw double-digit touchdowns on deep passes, 11, courtesy of Next Gen Stats. Number 5 in deep accuracy on PFF. Number 1 in the North for QBR and EPA. Number 1 in completion percentage for the NFL. The interesting thing is he was only 16th in the NFL in passing attempts per game. So wasn't passing it at the clip of some of the top tier guys. Number 2 passer rating, 3-1 playoff record, already beat Andy Dalton's single season record, which isn't really much to write about, but had the 34 touchdowns last year. Number 1 against the blitz on PFF. And he did all of this with a offensive line that had a pass block win rate of 49%, which was good enough for 30th. And the year before, they were 50%, which was 29th in 2020. He also led in QB sack percentage as well. And he has a brand new offensive line. He's got the same coach. He's got the same system. The other thing that people overlooked last year is that he was not fully healthy the entire season. So for a lot of the games, he even said that on the podcast as well, he wasn't fully healthy until later on in the season. This season, he's finally coming in for the first time in his career with a full offseason, because you got to think his rookie season was COVID, so he couldn't participate right away. He didn't even have a preseason. This is finally him getting a fully healthy offseason, coming off one of his best seasons with a better offensive line. Tony's right. The Bengals offense was very inconsistent last year. A big factor of that was the offensive line. I think now that they have the offensive line, the play calling is going to change. They're not going to have to do these quick passes where he's just throwing it up for these 50-50 balls. Routes are going to be able to develop, things of that nature. That is why I think Joe Burrow is going to take the step forward. I always said when I became the captain of the Penei Sewell thing, when I saw him his rookie year, I said, if this dude gets an offensive line, it is over. And now he has it. And then he also has the Migos. And he also has a tight end as well. I will put my hand in that breadbasket of Hayden Hurst being a very upgraded weapon for him outside of CJ Uzomah. I think a lot of people overblow how good CJ Uzomah really was. Hayden Hurst, he's got kind of that Dallas Clark kind of mode. I think him and Joe Burrow are going to definitely find each other in this offense. Maybe it's only 15% of the time. But if Joe Burrow throws for close to 5,000 yards, I think that is what he can do, especially in this. I'm just telling you, this dude did all of that with a bad offensive line, a bottom-tier offensive line. Now he has one. And so I think it can only go up from there. But as Tony said, the offense does have to improve. There may be some regression in some areas, but I'm just not seeing it, bro. Honestly, I'm just not seeing it from Joe Burrow. This is why he was drafted. This is why he was touted as the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. This is why he did what he did at LSU. And I think Joe Burrow has defied history. Whether we talk about the playoff run, sure, we could talk about the Raiders. I felt like the Bengals were going to win that, but all I heard before that game was that the Bengals haven't won a playoff game in 31 years. He did that. He didn't celebrate after he did that. He said that this is the standard. Then he goes to Tennessee, the number 1 ranked seed in the AFC, by the way, that everybody said was going to win. Walked in there, got sacked 9 times in that game. Still came out with the W. Went to Kansas City after beating Pat Mahomes, mind you, and completely outplaying him through throwing for 400 yards in the game in Week 17 with the AFC North on the line, by the way. And for Kansas City, they had the AFC number 1 seed on the line, which they lost because of Joe Burrow. Goes into Kansas City, apparently the hardest place to play, comes out with another win against Mahomes, head-to-head both times. And this is a guy that gets to the Super Bowl in his second year with the horrible offensive line. And this is just the second year of his career. It's almost one of the fastest starts in NFL history. So I expect Joe Burrow to keep making history, and that's why I got him number 1 for my quarterback in the AFC North.
One thing to add there to what Ace was saying about that game against Tennessee, which again is one of those kind of hindsight 2020 type games. Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times in that game, which for a lot of quarterbacks in the league, and we could talk about, you talk about the two Steeler quarterbacks, right? You expect that Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett, if they get sacked 9 times in that game, are they throwing for 350 in that same game? Right? I mean, the fact that he was hit so many times under pressure, under so much pressure in that game, and yet stayed as poised as he did. The only interception he threw in that game was that tip intercept that Amani Hooker had in the flat there that got reviewed. Otherwise, it wasn't like, that pressure ever got to him. And I think to me, that's one of those things about Burrow that, is kind of, why I'm so sad that the Bengals got him, because it's, I've talked about it before. Like the quarterback Joe Burrow reminds me of is Tom Brady. I mean, to me, that was the comp that once he started to get good, it's like, okay, well, the comp here is Brady, because he does all the same. He's so intelligent with the ball. You very rarely, when Joe Burrow makes these kind of massively bonehead mistakes, like the one he made against Kansas City, you're like, oh, get into candy jar. Oh my God, what did I find here? Yeah, what did I find? Oh my God, Joe Burrow did something really stupid.
Damn. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, you be right technically, but it'd be Joe Burrow and then be having that magic. You'd be like, oh, come on, man. Like, I did nothing to be wrong on this, but you did everything just to make it right. Like, he got that magic. Like, that's why it's hard to rank one above the other. Yeah. Because he got that damn Joe Burrow magic. He does. It's the real thing.
It's look, think about the games. Think about Ace aside here, right? Just me, Sonny, Q. When the Bengals got the ball back after Tannehill's interception, was there any question in you guys' mind that Burrow was going to make a throw to put them in field goal range?
Oh yeah, I knew that was happening.
That was exactly same thing when they got the ball in overtime.
I thought that's why I was shocked they lost the Super Bowl. I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this one before, and it's rare that somebody could do that over a course of this is over 1 year. We weren't taking Joe Burrow this serious, like Bengal fans were, but we weren't really taking him this serious after his rookie year. Like, we knew he'd be good, but we weren't out here like, oh, it's the fourth quarter, 2 minutes left. We know what time it is. Joe Burrow had but I was like, yeah, man. I was shocked when he got sacked and it didn't make that play. I was like, oh wow.
Right. And you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the last time that a quarterback like this lost that way, which was Tom Brady against the Eagles at the end of that game when he got sacked by Derek Barnett. I think he fumbled on the play.
Hey, it was like, oh, he actually gonna get cooked?
I was doing laps around the house. Like, I can't believe this just happened. Like, he had the ball with a chance to win. I've seen Brady in this a million times. I already know how it freaking ends. I don't want to watch it. Please, God, don't make me watch it again. And then when something different happens, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm running, doing laps around the house.
It's like when Pittsburgh punted in that wild card game, and I was like, oh, they're not going to come
back. Listen, we're having a moment here. We're bonding. We're bonding. Okay, you're killing it.
They're not going to come back. Ben's actually going to lose this one. I can't believe it.
Super Chat here says he has a line now. Q, you will regret this icy take.
I put him at 2. I put him, by the way, below the Browns. So I don't
above the Browns.
Above the Browns.
Oh yeah, above. Somebody gonna cut it.
Yeah.
I put the Bengals quarterback situation above the Browns. And by the way, there's a gap there because there's even if Deshaun comes back, we don't know if he's going to be at the level of a former MVP or whatever Joe Burrow was last year, which was out of this world. It's a hefty thing to ask Deshaun Watson to be coming off of a year off of football. So when y'all just like to get mad at me. You know what I mean? Y'all just like to get mad at me because I don't know how anybody's mad at that one.
Right.
I don't know.
No, but Q, this is what's gonna look. This just strap in, dude. This is gonna keep happening. There are position groups in this division Edge is one of them. Safety is another. Where whoever gets two, we have some of the best edge rushers in the league in this division. Some of the best safeties in the league in this division, right? But someone's got to be two. Someone's got to be two. And so, again, it might be.
Hey, don't slight the B2.
Well, that's not how they're going to see it. Listen, that's not. I just saw someone in chat say two goes too low.
Two is too low. Two is too low.
Yeah,
Two is too low.
That's crazy. Okay. It's not like I put a bum over him. I put Lamar Jackson over him. Like I would get this disrespect if this was like last year, and I'm like Baker Mayfield over Joe Burrow. Right? That ended up being very disrespectful at the end of the day, right? But this ain't that, yo. Like, come on, give me a break. Y'all stay out my mentions this year. I ain't say nothing about y'all. Leave me alone, Bengal fans, before I fire up and y'all lose both games again this year. And then now all of a sudden we're going to be at war forever. I'm trying to make sure me and Ace can be friends at the end of all of this. And y'all trying to make me beef with y'all. Why? Come on.
Wait, we're all rankings
people who should be beefing with me are Raven fans because I gave them number one, but trolled them massively during the entire moment. Like, imagine getting your moment, you get ranked at number one, and all I'm talking about is the goddamn Dolphins.
I mean, between these three dudes, bro, like, there's not much that separates them. You're talking about, top quarterbacks in the NFL. So I think all of these guys, people would easily say they're all definitely locks for the top 10.
There's
top
no
10.
shade in being in the third best quarterback in the AFC North. There's really no shade. It's like how Derek Carr gonna be the worst quarterback in the AFC West this year. Okay.
I would put Burrow top 5-ish, and I would put Lamar. I think Lamar's gonna approach top 5 again. Assuming I'm assuming I'm wrong about the off the field stuff, and he's like locked into this offense, and he's determined to get a massive contract extension a year from now. He'll be right in that conversation too. So
it sucks for me because I was a huge Lamar Jackson fan and a huge Deshaun Watson fan, and now they're both in the division.
I will say this because I have Burrow here at 1. It's hard to argue what he did, and again, for me, when I was ranking between Lamar and Burrow, I was like, yeah, Lamar had a horrible O-line. And again, I thought Burrow got sacked more per game than Lamar. They actually got the same sack per game.
But they were identical in sack percentage, like you said.
Yeah. But it's crazy how, he knew how to utilize Jamar Chase, right? He knew how to utilize the weapons he had, and he took the advantage of what he had and did the most of it all the way to a Super Bowl appearance. And we cannot discount that, right? So I had to give the edge to Burrow. He's a phenomenal talent. I would say this. I bought into the Bengals. Was it week 8 when we were up we were up in the standing. I said the Bengals are going to win this division, even though we were up in the standing.
No. Week 8 was when you said I thought Joe Burrow was that dude. It was week I think like 13 when you said they should win the division.
Yeah, I think the Ravens were up a game or two.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did have that. I thought Joe Burrow was the guy. Was that before or after the Tyler Boyd?
That was after they lost to the Jets.
After they lost to the Jets. Hey, listen, I was feeling good after they lost to the Jets. I had already gone on the rant. I had already been on your show, Q. I mean, I had done I had let it all loose.
I was like, I don't think this is gonna go because I know how this energy goes. This felt exactly like Lamar in 2019, what the Bengals did last year when I was on that Lamar is gonna regress. He's gotta regress. And I remember how that energy felt. Like, look, Tony, I'm telling you, this ain't what you think it is. This is gonna go on much longer than you think. And then
look at this. Mr. Mississippi here says, as a Bengals fan, Q been pretty fair in my opinion. But then Q
moment?
Compare Joey B to David.
How did we get there? How did we even get to that? How? How did we get to that?
Oh, this is a good super chat because this is what this is when I'm glad we're not doing these rankings.
Fans make up hypothetical questions just to get themselves pissed off because they know the answer will make them mad. They know.
Okay, but be honest, Q. Would you rank Mahomes over Burrow right now?
Yes.
Yeah, so would I. But
I wouldn't hesitate. It's not a thing against Joe Burrow. It's Patrick Mahomes. They make one of him. One of those.
Okay,
but then Bengals immediate retort would be Burrow beat him twice. It's including in the playoffs and
awesome.
Mahomes.
Great. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But Patrick Mahomes could throw the ball 200 yards off a foot. Like
Right.
it just is. They made one.
Can I
They
say
made
this? I
one
think
of them.
I think Joe Burrow has a better season than Patrick Mahomes this year.
That's fine.
That's
I would
what I think.
still, if you were asking me to pick a
We
quarterback, I'm
should
picking.
we should put we
Patrick
should
Mahomes.
I'm trying my gambling brain is churning
Yeah.
right now.
That's what you need to join.
We need to
Patreon.
gamble
We
on
talk
that in
about
some
shit
way,
like
not
this
in
Patreon.
monetary, but like something on the show. I want
Yeah.
to take the Mahomes side of that bet, and we got to just figure out the stakes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
this is like when like a player's having a good year and like a regular player, like let's say John Morant's having a good year, and then somebody got to come out. Well, who would you rather have, John Morant or LeBron James? The answer to that question is only going to piss off somebody either way. Why are we even asking it? Like what is the point? You know what I
Because
mean?
it's fun.
You know
It's fun.
damn
Getting chat riled
well.
up is the best part.
This
of the
fun
show.
is the
You
off
know
season.
damn well. Come on.
Look at
Come
Noah
on,
Stone
man.
here saying this is for A's apparently. Tom Brady won Super Bowl in second year. I'm like, bro, ain't next time.
And
but
it
I
was against
guess
the
it's
Rams
more
too,
fun.
so that
That
Burrow's
is
got a
true.
long way to go.
Yeah,
Rams got a long way to go.
Tom
If Joe
Brady
Burrow can't
still-
beat the Rams in his second year, then is he going to be any good? Trash. You
true.
might as well cut him.
But wait, he followed us with Tom Brady still better than Burrow at 45 next year and be.
Could we have a mirror Super Bowl this year? I mean, I don't think the Bengals are going to make it back, but could we have a mirror Super Bowl? Burrow versus Brady?
What do you mean?
Pointing
The
Spider-Man
mirror
meme?
Super Bowl would be somehow Derek Carr got in there apparently because I compared the two of them. So
Oh yeah. No, that was you compared it to David Carr, I think, is what that.
Oh, David Carr. I mean, that would be a more accurate comp, right? David Carr to Joe Burrow. If we just want to just say something.
David Carr, yeah.
David Carr because he got sacked so many times.
Is Burrow
I mean-
top 5? I mean, this is.
I mean, yeah, I can see he could.
Hold
he
on,
wouldn't
I'm
be
gonna do it in my head
Wait.
real quick.
Are you thinking? I think it's a top 5.
But there's
Three,
Rodgers, Mahomes.
It's real close.
Who else? Who else is
I
there?
think he's top 5.
It's Brady. Okay, Brady. In my
Brady
head, I
ain't
just
top
went
five
through
no more.
Allen, Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers.
I would
think
take
Burrow's
Allen
better than
over
Brady
Burrow.
right
I
now.
would take Mahomes over Burrow. I would take who else?
I don't know,
Rodgers over Burrow. I'm not taking Tom over Burrow anymore because I don't think Tom.
No,
Tom's
definitely
old as
not
shit.
Tom. I think he's top
Yeah.
5, no question.
In a 1 year window, right? With like we did with Tannehill last year. Remember, last year we were having this exact same conversation, except we said, would you rather have Tannehill for 1 year over Joe Burrow?
Yeah, this is a massive upgrade for Joe Burrow. This whole
it's
whole
different-
conversation.
It's a bit
You know
different
what
when
I
you're
mean?
asking
The man has
Tannehill
had
1
games.
year. The next year it's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Tom Brady for one season than Joe Burrow.
I wouldn't. I would rather have Joe Burrow than Tom Brady, just because I think Tom, he getting by on tricks at this point. Like I think Joe Burrow still got some raw athleticism that he can utilize in some tight spots.
The other name in my mind that I would put at number 5, potentially above Burrow, is so slanderous to Bengals fans that I'm afraid to say it out loud.
Don't say it.
But it's Justin
Baker
Herbert.
Mayfield.
It's
Herbert?
Justin
Wait, what? Justin Herbert?
I didn't put him there. I said that I could
Nah,
put there.
nah, you
It's
tripping
so
on that one.
slanderous that I don't
Listen,
want to say it.
Herbo
And then you
is
guys
good.
forced
Herbo's
me.
a good player.
No.
But he's
We're
gotta
doing the
win a
exact
playoff game
opposite.
first.
Like Joe Burrow to won all these big games. Justin Herbert, like
I
has
know.
he been in
That's
the
why I
playoffs?
can't.
Who
I
was
know.
that team we lost to again? Who was that team we lost to again before with the playoffs on the line?
With
He's
the
a great
Raiders?
player though. He's a great
He
player.
cool. He cool.
What about
he
Matt
like the new
Stafford?
Phillip
Stafford's
Rivers.
no
He's
look,
the
Super
perfect
Bowl
quarterback for the
champ.
Chargers. You know what I mean? He gonna be that dude that puts up amazing numbers but don't ever do nothing. That's Justin Herbert's whole career. Like he's
Empty
gonna
calories.
be a fun guy. No, not empty calories.
By the
But
way, if
he
you
gonna-
put
he
Kirk
gonna be-
Cousins, if you put Lamar Jackson above Kirk Cousins, I mean, you are playing Madden and not watching actual.
oh, the
NFL.
conviction that dude said that tweet with was what I was like,
Ace, I know
wow,
you have to go, Ace. Ace,
Yep,
know
I
you
gotta
have to
head
go,
out,
man.
guys.
All right.
Take care.
All right,
Yep.
take care.
dog. I'm dedicating a video to that on my channel on how dumb that take was. Like I read that take and I was like, we gotta bully people if people are this confident.
I saw that.
You know what I mean?
saw that.
All right, now that
Like-
Ace is gone, yeah, I'm putting Herbert 5. Herbert 5, Burrow 6. Now that Ace is gone. Woo! I was
By the
worried for
way,
a second.
By the way, the ranking we have
That man
702
said
votes.
he would take. I'm sorry, I got. That man said he would. He not just that he would take Kirk Cousins over Lamar Jackson. That if you think otherwise, basically he said you're an idiot, a novice, a fool. That is wild to me. Like, okay, whatever. You think Kirk Cousins is better, you can have that opinion. But to think that everybody else is an idiot because they don't agree with that, that's where I'm like, come on, man. That's very stupid.
Yeah,
That is a take that can only happen on this incubator of idiocracy
Yeah.
that we call Twitter. Okay, that is only something that can happen on Twitter because nothing else that stupid comes out of any other app in the world other than Twitter.
Okay, so we and our poll, y'all guys. I mean, we had 705 votes. That's a healthy voting. Pickett with a healthy 5%. At last, Lamar Jackson was third with 22%. Deshaun Watson was second with 30%, and Joe Burrow with 43%.
Now, all that being said, Joe Burrow is just a hyped up version of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I agree. He's coming way back down to earth this year.
Yeah.
When I said he was a top 5, I meant bottom 5. But
and I think the Ravens won't miss a beat once Lamar goes to Miami because Tyler Huntley is just as good as Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson is greatly overrated. And the only true team that will win a Super Bowl this year is Kenny Pickett because hand size does matter, and the smallest hand wins games.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, I was going to say Kenny Pickett's going to be so good this year. They're going to start measuring quarterbacks' hands and saying that their hands are too big.
Yeah, you know, we're gonna go back. We're gonna come back to this and be like, man, I can't believe we slandered Kenny Pickett in this way.
I can't believe we were all
these gloves that he has
We've been talking and arguing about who's the next Tom Brady. Kenny Pickett been there all this time, man.
Okay,
the underdog.
Guys, we're wrapping the video up. I don't know what position we're gonna do next week. We'll
running back.
Follow us on Twitter.
Running back
on Twitter. We'll let you know.
Do the Ravens have any of those?
We have
not healthy ones. Not healthy ones.
You have.
They got one.
You got plenty.
Number 8.
Y'all got running backs like people in the 80s had shit at Sears. Like all of y'all stuff on layaway. Like, you know what I mean? Like y'all ain't got none of that in actual cash. You know what I mean? Y'all got all that in credit.
Y'all change.
Who out here running the ball at OTAs right now? Y'all got the all-time running back.
Yeah. Are either guy healthy enough? We should talk about that. That's what we should do running back next week, so you can fill us in on are either guy healthy.
Like your running backs don't count a day on the exercise bike all training camp. Like I don't want to hear about that. Like they're gonna be in the exercise bike till what?
We have a rookie. We drafted a guy,
and you got Mike Davis too. Mike Davis.
Can we add Lamar Jackson into the running back room?
No.
No,
don't throw that. Okay, obviously this thing is just getting out of
Miami 2024. Lamar Jackson, baby. Get ready. Get ready. Whose jersey you gonna wear?
Oh, do you want by the way, Sonny, do you want the rankings that we did? Like
recap.
The averages?
Yeah, all right. Sure, recap.
The number 4, the AFC North Talk official rankings of the quarterback rooms. Number 4, can anybody guess? It's the Steelers. Number 3.
You're gonna regret that.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, listen. I'm this offseason. I am ace, and I'm just ready for all the.
Can't wait till Kenny Pickett turns into the next Derek Carr.
You are an editor. If you're an editor, a YouTube editor, DM me. I will pay you during the season to make plenty of videos. Okay, Cleveland here is number 3. Number 2 is Baltimore, and then Cincinnati came in number 1. The only Cincinnati had 3 out of 4 of us voting them the best room, and only 1 vote for Baltimore as the other number 1 room in the division. So pretty clear cut. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cincinnati, Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh in that order.
As you leave the stream, guys, 2 things. Make sure you hit that like. Also, Ace has an interview with Eli Apple. So if you want to see Ace interviewing Eli Apple, go check that in Cincinnati. We'll see you next time. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell.
When do we rank the Dolphins on this quarterback